How's it going? All right, we're getting this thing up and running. All right, we're getting this thing up and running. All right, we are up and running. What's going on, everybody? I am just coming back from a little out of the office, so thanks for bearing with me. Welcome back. I am happy to be back in Los Angeles. Was out of the office, but now, well, I'm ready to get it going and get into the rhythm of this thing again. So today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about voice leading. What's going on, Prince? So by the end of today's lesson, you're going to know what voice leading is. You're going to know how to use it. And most of all, you're going to know how to use it musically. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through all of this. And also feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Super interactive little thing we got going on. What's going on, Quentin? So voice leading, what is it? All right, so voice leading is a way to make your chords closer together. It's like the top note barely moves. Maybe it moves one note or two notes up and one note or two notes down. Now, why do we care about voice leading? Voice leading makes melodies on the guitar. And why do we care about melodies? Well, melodies are what gets stuck in your head. Melodies are what you hum or whistle down the street. So melodies are like the foundation. That you can think of them as like nursery rhymes, right? So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about how guitar players normally play, and then we're going to transition and how you can play in a voice leading style. So say we're in the key of E, all right? Play something like this, E, and then you'd probably play A and B, play E, A, B, right? Okay, that sounds great. That is perfect for a singer-songwriter, you know, Jack Johnson, John May, probably like a Jack Johnson, Ben Harper kind of thing. And it sounds great. It sounds amazing. But here's the thing. If you want to push yourself a little more, there is a way we can turn these into voice leading chords, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm hearing and what you are hearing subconsciously as the listener is you are hearing the top note of these chords as the melody. So So basically, then that's the top note, and then that's the top note of this chord, right? My middle finger, and then that's the top note of this chord, and that's the top note of this chord. Sounds really good, but if we were to make the same progression, which is just E, A, B, or like a 1, 4, 5, if we were just make the same progression, have a little more voice leading, we could play. And this is where inversions and triads comes into play. We could say something like this. Right? Right? And why is that good? Again, it's like the nursery rhyme idea is that we are making melodies, and melodies are the thing that gets stuck in your head. It's what you hum, it's what that little earworm happens. And so even though you are playing normally behind a singer, your intent should still be to play musically and create these melodies under a singer or even under another soloist, under another saxophone player, guitar player, organ player, whatever. Your intent should be to make these melodies as almost like little counter melodies to what's happening. Let me give you a couple more examples as well. And if you guys are just joining, welcome. At Soulful Guitar Lessons, here we go live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. California time. And today we're talking about voice leading. Voice leading is just where we are able to create melodies with chords on the guitar. And why is that good? Well, melodies are what get stuck in your head. So I'm showing you basically going from this, just to recap, going from like E to A to B. That's like a very singer-songwriter-y way to play stuff. Sounds good, but we could use voice leading, which is, we're basically hearing the top note of these chords as our melody. Okay, but what if we did, right? All of a sudden we have a song. Okay? And this is very, very useful, okay? This is very, very handy because we're making melodies. And if you're trying to practice this stuff at home, I would suggest doing this. Doing like a 1-4-5 progression on the guitar. Say we're in the key of E. And I want you to try to move the melodies this way, just like move the melodies up this way, and then you would move the melodies down this way. So let's try first moving the melodies up this way. This is like a little practice routine on how you can get good on voice leading. So that's an E. So what's the next best way we can play an A? Maybe this. Okay. Right? Right. We're able to then make, I'm playing E. And now let's try going down this way. So E, A, B, E, A, B, E, A, B, E, A, B, E. Okay? So this is the way we can create melodies. It's a very, very simple exercise. It's like simple when I say it, but it's harder in practice, right? And it'll take you a second to get this stuff under your fingers, right? And that's the exercise to get you to start using it musically, is like take a simple progression. Say we're in the key of G. So you're playing G, C, D, G. Let's do the same thing. G, C, D, right? These are very, very pretty campy chords, very singer-songwriter-y kind of thing. But let's try to make it, let's try to use voice leading, which is basically taking that top note and making melodies of it. And here's the exercise. We're gonna take the G, C, D, and we're gonna move it all the way up. This 1-4-5, all right? So. All right, let's move it back down. So we're going this way. Right? So, it's not like every little thing is going down, 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 but like, you could see that visually I'm moving downwards, and, that's how we, in essence, do voice leading, and just very, very simple concept. And we're trying to make melodies of it, and that's the practice routine I would give you. Is like whatever song you have, try to have the chords go up this way, and then try to have the chords go down this way. Specifically focusing on the B and the E string, like these two. You know what I'm saying? So like if we're in the key of G, I'm like focused on this. So like my top note is right there on the B string. I'm not so concerned with the lower. Like it's a little muddy down there, so you're gonna get more bang for your buck just focusing on the high B, high E string. If you guys are just joining, welcome. We go live here, Soulful Guitar Lessons, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. California time. If you guys are watching this, just give this video a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. If you're curious to learn more about all of this stuff, how to play more soulfully, how to really just elevate your guitar playing, I have a free masterclass in the description, so feel free to check that out. Okay, so we have our voice leading. Let's do a little recap. So what is voice leading? Can you guys let me know? Hopefully I've done a good enough explanation, a good enough job explaining that you know by now. So voice leading is making melodies with our chords. Oftentimes our chords are providing a bed for a singer or a lead saxophone or organ player to play melodies over. But that doesn't mean we can't play our own melodies underneath, right? And that's where voice leading comes in. Voice leading allows us to play these melodies under the lead person, all right? And how do we do that? Well, we really want to have chords that are close to each other, right? We don't want to be jumping here and then up here and then up here, because that's not going to give us good voice leading. Voice leading is really having that top note of your chord create a melody. You know, you're hearing that, right? You're hearing that rather than going, you know, that stuff sounds great. It really does, but I'm giving you guys another tool in your tool belt, kind of like Batman, you know? Batman's got all sorts of tools depending on what situation he winds up in. Prince is asking, I'm just going to jump into the chat real quick. Prince is saying, so the top notes are the melody notes. Correct. The top notes are the melody notes. All right, so let's keep moving. Okay. So how do we use this? We're kind of on our second part of the discussion for today is how do we use all this information to make music? Okay, so we have voice leading, we have, okay, so we gotta remember voice leading is just something, a very simple concept. We're making melodies underneath. So how do we, underneath the like vocalist or saxophone player, so how do we use this idea musically? So say we're writing a song. Say we're writing a song and the chords are A, D, E. 1, 4, 5 in the key of A major. Okay, you know, you might be accustomed to this. I say this is the chord progression, right? And say those are the chords you're used to, and that's great, that's all fine. But now, with voice leading, maybe you want to throw something else in. Hear that? Rather, you know, we're creating melodies with the top note, right, on the B and the E string. So the top note of the chord is our melody. And remember, we can make a little exercise out of this. Now, if we're going to use it musically, I wouldn't advise making an exercise up and down and up and down, you know, like starting here, going up here. You know, that's just an exercise. But to use it musically, we'd use that exercise, right? And we would take little bits and pieces of it, right? So if we had an exercise that, you know, this is our bedrock, this is where we're starting. We wrote a song, it's these chords, 1, 4, 5 in the key of A. And we want to spice it up. So here's what we're going to do. Right? We're going to play this version of a D rather than this version. And this is where inversions come into play, triadic inversions and the like. Just knowing your triads up and down the neck really, really will help you. And that's how you use the stuff musically. It's almost like I could hum the top note of this chord progression to you. It's almost nursery rhyme-esque, you know? It's very, very like simple. The top note is calling to like go to the next note in a very, very easy, soothing way. You know, we're not playing A here and then D, E, and then A like this, A, you know, A, D, you know, like that stuff works. It works, but for just another tool in your tool belt if you want to learn how to voice lead. Really, this is how you do it. Jazz asked, are the melody notes always going to be notes in the chord? Yes, exactly. So, that's why we play these things. You know, that's why we play these voice leading, is because we're creating melodies. We're creating melodies under the vocalists. And yes, Jazz, the melodies are always going to be in the chords. So now here, let's take this even further. So let's recap actually. Before we take this even further, I see we got some new people joining. Welcome everybody. Voice leading. What is voice leading? So we're going to do a recap and then we're going to take this thing even further. Voice leading is a way to create melodies on the guitar. That's as simple as that. Melodies on the guitar. Okay? Now instead, and as a listener, you hear melodies, consciously or subconsciously, as the highest note in the chord. Okay? So say we have a 1-4-5 progression in the key of A, D, E. Instead of playing this clunky progression, we can play, right? That's the note we're hearing. Okay, we're using inversions to get there, and that's really how you can use it musically. Now here's the thing. This is where we're going to take it even further. We are creating a foundation for somebody else. I mean, this stuff could stand alone, right? But if some other vocalist was to play over that, play over our little chord progression, they wouldn't necessarily sing these notes. So let me give you an example. So say our chord progression is, and we're using our voice leading, right? We're using voice leading, right? But it's not necessarily the case that the singer would say, la, you know, like sing this, like, they might, but they might do something counter to this, right? They might do something that's like opposing, like, right? You know, like I'm just humming some stuff. But it's not always the case that the singer or the horn player or whatever is going to match you exactly. And that's beautiful. That's okay, because so much music is about not, it's like contrasting melodies, you know. It's like Bach, you know, and this idea that 2 melodies, 3, 4 melodies can all be happening at once, you know. And as long as you are playing a supportive role, you can really go no wrong. You can do no wrong, okay? So, does this make sense to everybody? Say what's up in the chat. Give this video a thumbs up, actually, if you're still watching after 20 minutes. Okay. So let's go over some other ideas using voice leading, okay? Say we're in the key of C. Say our chord progression is D minor, say D minor, G, C, A minor. So 2, 5, 1, 6. Say that's our chord progression. So instead, you could play this. You could play these chords, right? 2, like a D minor, G, C, A minor. But if you want to add voice leading, let's use our exercise and start creating melodies. Let's go this way, which would be D minor, right? G, C, A minor, D minor, G, C, A minor, right? D minor, G, C, A minor. Now we're going to go back down this way. This is our exercise. D minor, G, C, A minor. We're going to keep going down this way. D minor, G, C, A minor. And then D minor, G, C, A minor, D minor, G, C, A minor. Okay? So, and then we could make a song, right? So now that we did that exercise, now we're kind of familiar with all of our ways to play all these different chords, right? And so maybe you want to say something like, right? You can play. Sounds like music, because we're not just. This stuff is still these cowboy chords sound great, but really, really elevating your harmonic palette. I'm gonna check out this chat real quick. When choosing non-diatonic chords for a song to reharmonize a song, should you limit it to just 2 or 3 keys? Let me reread that. That's a complicated question. When choosing non-diatonic chords for a song to reharmonize a song, should you limit it to just 2 to 3 keys? Okay, so I appreciate you being part of the community, part of the chat. I think that's a little outside of like the realm of what we're talking about today, but I don't want to leave you stranded and like hanging. I'm going to answer your question in the form of our discussion today. So say we are playing these same chords, right? D, we're gonna reharmonize something. We're gonna play like D minor, G, C, A minor. So D minor. If we wanted to reharmonize, we could do so here. But again, I would want to start low, go high, and then from high to low, right? To give our listeners something to grab onto. And this is a great exercise. So here's our D minor. That's our D minor. And maybe here's our 5 chord. 6, 2, and then 5, 1, 6, 2, and then you go 5, 1, right? So I'm adding different extensions on the 5 chord. And that's like the simplest way of, and extensions means like notes that aren't in the key that kind of sound wonky. And there's a way to do that. But I think reharmonizing stuff definitely you got to know the rules before you break them, is what an old teacher used to tell me. So like I'd always want to know about reharmoning and stuff. And maybe you are at that level. I mean, this is after all a channel about for intermediate and advanced guitar players. But speaking about my own personal history, I was so I like wanted to walk before I could crawl. And so these exercises are like really, really helpful for myself included, just to like hear how these chords are moving, and hear how everything is pieced together. And then once you have these basics, you can start to, I mean, I guess this stuff isn't basic. This is advanced, but also basic, right? The concepts are simple, but the application can be hard, and it can take years to get this stuff under your fingers. But that being said, reharmoning implies that harmony, the actual harmony of the song itself. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now, is learning how to apply this harmony, voice leading specifically, and just how to use it musically. David Smalls, oh man, appreciate that, man. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys are just tuning in, I go live here at Soulful Guitar Lessons every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Feel free to come back. I was out of the office for the past couple weeks, but feel free to stop by anytime. I'm here to answer any questions. We usually tackle a topic as well, something that is, useful to all guitar players. I also have a free masterclass in the description if you guys want to check that out. And if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, that would be awesome. Okay, so we have voice leading. We talked about what voice leading is. If you guys are just joining us, because I noticed that we have some new people, voice leading in its simpler, Carlton, thanks man. Yeah, I was out of the office, but I am back. So voice leading is essentially a way to make your chords sound smooth. They don't sound herky-jerky like you're playing down here, then you're playing up here, then you're playing up here. Voice leading is a way for everything to be smooth and nice. And the way you use this stuff musically is that, like our application, first, before you use it musically, I would say you have to practice doing this stuff. Like, here's your chord progression, work it up the neck, then down the neck. So say I have, A, D, E, so I work it up the neck, all my inversions. And the reason for that is that, as you guys are hearing, as a listener, we hear this top note as the melody. So, consciously or subconsciously, I'm hearing, right? Okay, and then the way we use it musically is that now that we did that exercise, and we would do it also on the way down, is we would just play chords that instead of doing this, we would make melodies. Simple melodies, almost nursery rhyme like. And that process, that method, is how you can start getting your voice leading in check. It's how you can start to become a better guitarist. Yeah, I remember when I was first starting on the guitar, like I was, I guess, in like 10th grade, and I had a teacher from Carleton College. His name was David Singley. And rather than telling me the chords of like, hey, here's the tabs of, whatever, G minor, he never really told me the shapes. He was like, okay, so you're going to want to, he's like, you're going to want to play the chords up the neck this way. And then you're going to want to play them down the neck this way. So say the chord progression was G minor, C minor. I'm telling you guys all this because this is how I learned, and I feel like it's made a huge impression on me, and that's the way I want to teach you guys. David Singley, my old teacher, said, all right, now, I want you to discover the chords, and I want you to have your chords go this way. And I said, oh man, how am I going to do that? You didn't give me any tabs. I got to figure all these chords out. He's like, yes. I'm like, well, aren't all the chords available somewhere? This is pre-internet era. He's like, yes, but when you discover the chords yourself, it makes a certain imprint that is deep. It's deeper than just visually learning something. This is like you're discovering it for yourself, and you really can't unlearn that. You know, it's like you discovered how to play these inversions yourself, and by doing that, it just creates it creates a way. What am I trying to say? Your brain learns it in a different way than just like, oh, you're trying to remember it. It like learned it. That's how you are literally learning. The neurons are connecting and everything is coming together, right? So that's why I'm not giving you the specifics of, you know, like, oh, here's the tab of A and here's the tab of D and yada, yada. Because when I learned, David was like, my old teacher was like, all right, now play a G minor, C minor, and work it up the neck. And I said, I don't know how to do that, but I guess I'll figure it out. Okay, so, you know. Oh, man. And this took me, I think, like 9 months, you know? And I was just like, and then, but once I learned it, I was like, oh, I always know where that stuff is. Because I'm not trying to remember, like, oh, dang, like, what was that? Where did I download that PDF? Like, I can't remember the fingering. No, like, I learned it. And that's what I'm trying to instill in everybody here. It's just the self-discovery. It takes longer. You know, some of these concepts might take longer to sink in, but once you actually get it, once you have these concepts, you can't unlearn them. And I guess I should take a moment right here as we kind of wrap up this class to tell you what we're all about here. So Soulful Guitar Lessons, we are taking intermediate and advanced guitar players and just readying them for the professional world. So if you want to get to the point where you're like studio grade, you know, you're able to play live shows or tour or be a session person, this channel will help you get there and really understand the concepts that pros use, and kind of avoid the pedagogy of, like, you know, Berkeley or you know, the classroom studies. I really want to do stuff that's applicable in the real world rather than just theorize about stuff. And that's where the soulful stuff comes in, is because, you know, we're not always on a blackboard or a chalkboard writing out, you know, this and that. We're using our ears, we're using our hearts, and trying to have all this stuff come together. With that being said, I am going to sign off for the day. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. If you could give this video a thumbs up, that'd be amazing. And every Wednesday at 10 a.m., we go live tackling some big issues as guitar players. So that being said, thank you for tuning in at Soulful Guitar Lessons. I will see you all next week. Ciao.